I am so excited. I am doing another tag video. If you want to hear about my top 5 and bottom 5 makeup brands, then stick around. Hi there, it's Hélène with another video, and today I am talking makeup brands. And I focused more on the makeup brands from an eyeshadow perspective because I find that that is what I care about the most, as opposed to overall expanse of a given makeup brand's face products. So I have tried a whole lot more brands when it comes to eyeshadow than I have for any other category, and I thought I could offer better thoughts if I focused on brands from starting with eyeshadow and going out from there. I will probably mention more brands than just 5 in the top 5, bottom 5, but I do want to say that the top 5, bottom 5 stand. It's just sometimes with another makeup brand I just didn't know where it would fit, or maybe I don't have eyeshadow from them, and it could be why they just don't come to mind. I think I'm going to start with the bottom 5 and work from there. So I'm going to go from absolute worst, in my opinion, as far as my lack of use of lack of being impressed by the brand, to my absolute favorite at the top. So let's get into it. Now, before I get started, I do feel the need to do a little bit of a disclaimer. I am going to really tell you my feelings on top and bottom brands. There is no question that my top and bottom 10 are not going to be the same as your top and bottom 10. Please, please, please do not take offense. We all have our preferences. I'll give you my rationale for mine. If it were another day, would I pick the exact same brands? Who knows? Not sure. But this is how I'm feeling today at this point with where my collection is at. And if you have different preferences, or if I say I don't like something and it is your jam, it's great because it's in your collection and you've got a lot out of it. You love it, you're using it, it works for you. What better result can there be? So please take a look, just consider it to be my opinion, and keep on loving exactly what it is that you love best. On with the show. My absolute bottom brands when it comes to eyeshadow and kind of in general are well, that's not true. Let me just say, this is true. So Elizabeth Arden, I am not impressed with a ton of what I received in the holiday set 2018, and it's mostly because of what I care the most about in a holiday set, and what I care about the most is eye products first, lips second, and these eyeshadow palettes were really not that great, and I think that if I didn't know a whole lot about eyeshadow, I may have liked them more than I do. They don't really produce intense looks. And as a matter of fact, some of the looks, well, there was one night where I just thought, I need to get to the bottom of these. I tried to do 2 intense looks, one on each eye, and it turned out to be pretty horrible. I'll put the video there if you want to see it. It's like the worst makeup I've ever done, I think. And it was almost like it redeemed itself by the end, because I thought, oh, well, you know, I can do an intense look. But the point was, though, that the looks were terrible. Yes, I could finally get color payoff, but they were really horrible. So when it comes to Elizabeth Arden, shadows is just not something that I would look to that brand for, and I didn't really care for their skincare either. There was one redeemable value from the set was the lip products were pretty good, and the face palette was okay. I'm actually wearing some of the face palettes today, the sun blush I'm wearing and the highlighter, and I think it looks fine. But yeah, I would not look to Elizabeth Arden for a ton of anything going forward because I feel like I've kind of been burnt. Who knows what their holiday 2019 will be, and maybe I will change my mind. But right now, I'm just giving them the side eye. The other one that was a holiday set as well, and I guess I don't like the palette. There's no mirror in it, and this is a face palette from Lancôme, actually, and it's just not all that good. And so the holiday sets, when it comes to eyeshadow or face products, I'm not a huge fan of. So in this case, I actually preferred the Lancôme eyeshadow and didn't like the face palette. Elizabeth Arden, I preferred the face palette, didn't like the eyeshadows. So I guess it's a bit of a crapshoot as far as what you get in holiday sets. The overall value, by the way, of the sets is amazing. I do have a comparison video I'll just put there for you. Actually, I'll have so many links. I'm going to put a bunch in the description box. Another offender, and it really bothers me because this brand gets a lot of hype, and that is MAC. I picked up a Shiny Pretty Things eyeshadow palette this past holiday, and this is what it looks like. And I don't know if the quality is the same for all the MAC palettes, and it did come with a brush, but this was not a good first experience for MAC eyeshadows, and maybe I had high expectations because I hear about MAC a lot, but this was really crappy. And so in my view, having used this as my first MAC experience really wasn't good. The one thing that I can say that I have used from MAC since that I thought was great was the Fix Plus. That's a nice setting spray. But it's not enough to overcome how sheepish I would be or reluctant I would be to buy another kind of MAC makeup product. I really, really feel burned by this Shiny Pretty Things palette. The packaging is nice, but that's about it. Speaking of nice and not so nice, I just realized I had a bunch of black specks on my face and managed to get most of them off. I have no idea what caused that, but anyway, I managed to get them off and we are good to keep going. The next palette or brand that I have to talk about is Jouer. So I got this Ultra Foils palette at Christmas. It came with a liquid eyeshadow, which I have to say I have not used on my eye. This is what it looks like. Hopefully you can see the colors. And it did end up swatching quite nicely, and it did end up looking good on the eye. But I just can't get with this brand. I think the packaging is super cheap. And the shadows are okay, they're really nice, but they're not better than a lot of other stuff that's cheaper. So, and to me it has a cheap feel. So it feels like an overpriced Revolution type eyeshadow product. I don't get the hype. I don't get why people are so excited about Jouer, other than maybe it has a French name. I don't know. But to me it's a cheap brand, and it's just not a brand that is worth my money. Sorry, Jouer. The aesthetics isn't great, the product is not revolutionary or fantastic, and I'm not likely to buy anything more from that brand. Next up is a brand that I have a few things from, and I did buy a couple of palettes from this past Christmas, and this is what I'm going to show you. One of them is the Provocateur palette, and it looks like this. And then the other one is the one that I like the most, which is the NARS Face Palette. And I'll say that NARS, as far as face products, I think does a pretty good job. So when it comes to this brand, I am likely to buy face products such as the Laguna Bronzer, a couple of the different kinds of blushes. I am completely turned off and disgusted by the ridiculous amount of discussion of the big O from this brand. Like, get over it, stop it. This latest palette they came out with, just, I'm just grossed out. I'm done. I just don't want anything else from NARS. They've gone overboard. It's disgusting. And some of the names that they're using, I've just had it. And I don't have a big problem with a lot of the Urban Decay stuff. So for me to kind of go, you know what, NARS, you went over the edge here. I'm just sick of it. The latest launch that just came out, I just don't want anything to do with. And I think that for eyeshadow, I like the NARS packaging sometimes more than what is inside. And this palette definitely confirmed that for me. But face palette, you know, in 10 years when I get through this one, I may consider buying another NARS palette. And I also have the Dolce Vita liquid blush that I will use from NARS. That's fine. I have enough NARS. No thank you. No owe anything. I don't want any of those products. And NARS is just not good enough for me to deal with using more of their products when I know I'm supporting a marketing approach that I don't appreciate. So NARS is in my bad books for a while. I just don't want more from the brand. And I don't think that the quality and the amount of product you get justifies the price in any way, shape, or form. So, okay, I'm done complaining about NARS. It's a company that I have appreciated, but I just don't appreciate them anymore. So I'm sneaking in a couple of doubles because I did talk about Estee Lauder and Elizabeth Arden because they were kind of holiday stuff that I wasn't impressed with the powder products. And I'm going to talk about a couple more holiday products, but they are not holiday product brands, if that makes sense. So one of them is Natasha Denona. Let me just open up. This is the Aries palette from Christmas 2017. I did definitely use this palette and haven't since. I think the shadows are fine. Was it worth $61? Which I did not pay that much. Was it worth $61? Absolutely not. I don't think that Natasha Denona shadows are fantastic, at least from the 5 that I tried. I don't think the formula is anything to write home about, and I don't understand the price tag. And the same goes for Pat McGrath. This packaging is terrible. I've talked about it a couple times on my channel, and there are 6, try not to blind you, there's that plastic that I won't remove because I don't want it to fall all over the place. One thing I really don't like. The shadow names should be underneath when this thing is $70. And it doesn't open fully. It's cardboard, which I don't usually have a problem with, but when cardboard tears, if you open it too much, I think that's just ridiculous. And all of Pat McGrath packaging so far, in my experience, I had a Metamorphosis set and this palette, and I consider it really cheap. All the components in the Metamorphosis were super, super cheap. I find this to be a cop-out for an actual regular palette that everyone knows how to use and knows what to do with. Nobody knows what to do with this, and I have a very, very strong urge to depot this so that I get some use out of the shadows. I did use all of these shadows in a number of different looks. I did a brand new focus on it. I just don't care for this. There's only one Pat McGrath product that I care for, and that is the, I think it's called Mothership 5. It's the Mothership 5. I know that much. That is the only palette of Pat McGrath that I'm interested in at all. And Natasha Denona, maybe the Safari palette, something like that. The gold palette, no, I have to say, the gold palette really drew me in, but I went and hunted for all the gold shadows that I have in my collection and found that I have a lot of gold shadows that can do a lot with the golds and the other colors that were shown in that palette, and I talked myself out of it successfully. I'll put that video right here. I don't get Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona hype. I don't get it. There's so many good eyeshadow palettes out there that I don't really understand. Will I continue to use those 2 palettes? Sure, I have them. I'm only likely really to go for maybe that Mothership 5 from Pat McGrath as a one last, because the Transformer shades are apparently amazing, which are not included in these holiday palettes. So, but for the price tag, wow, it's going to keep me away for a long time. So those are all on my naughty list. Let's go and take a look at some brands that I am excited about, from least excited to most excited at this point. I am going to sneak one extra one in. I want to give this brand an honorable mention. Buxom shadows are fantastic, and I do know that I will enjoy Buxom even more when I decide to build myself another customizable palette. Right now I have Dolly's Wild Side, and I also have, are the colors coming through? And I also have Suede Seduction as another palette. Now, Suede Seduction and Dolly's Wild Side don't have very, very colorful shadows, but every single time I do a look with Dolly's Wild Side, I get compliments. It is a very, very flattering set of shadows. Same thing with Suede Seduction. It looks really, really good on my eye. And the Buxom, the quality of the Buxom shadows is phenomenal. It just does not get enough attention. And I'm super excited that Buxom is now at Shoppers Drug Mart, because the customizable palette is there, the individual shadows are there, and with Shoppers you have a chance to get 30–40% off depending on the offers. And so to me, it makes Buxom more accessible to me, because I don't tend to pay full price for things. And so it means that I will likely have Buxom again in the future as far as expanding the eyeshadow range that I have. And I'm likely to, based on that, do another focus on Buxom on this channel probably in 2020. Super, super excited about getting more of, well, getting to try a greater variety of Buxom eyeshadows. Based on what I have used so far, which is a total of 13 shadows from Buxom, I am really, really impressed, and I also really love their lip products. Buxom is a great brand. Next up, I want to talk about Violet Voss, and the only thing that I have from Violet Voss, and I think they don't make a whole lot of other stuff, is eyeshadow. And this palette I coveted for a good while, and I just finished a mini brand new focus on it using this palette, and I'm very happy that I bided my time, and finally this palette did come for a fantastic price, and so I scooped it up. But I had it, I kept looking at it for over a year going, this is going to end up in my collection, and boy am I happy it is. What Violet Voss does particularly well, and you can see it from the middle row and then this quad here, and this quad, actually these colors right here, make me think a lot of the Natasha Denona Gold palette, and I was able to do some looks that made me think of that palette a great deal. Is the shimmer / metallic shadows in this palette are phenomenal, and they pack a punch with the color saturation and the how they apply, and the fact that the shimmer stays on the eye. The formula is done in such a way that it stays put and looks great all day, and that the colors stay very vibrant. I was really impressed with what I was able to do with the Violet Voss, and I did say in my wrap-up in that video series that I would be looking to purchase another one of her palettes. I think it's called the hashtag palette, the one with all the purples. That is what I would want next. I really, really like that brand. Next up, I am going to talk about Clionadh. Clionadh Cosmetics, I have a number of different eyeshadows from them, singles, and also those big pans you see there are highlighters. Although you can use the highlighters whichever way you want, you can use the eyeshadows whichever way you want. And the colors, the quality of the eyeshadows, particularly the shimmers and the metallics, are beautiful. The highlighters are also very nice. I'm just not a highlighter aficionado, except for using the highlighters on the inner corner, and actually have more than this palette. Hang on. forgot to take these out. I also have 8 of their Aftershock highlighters, and oh my goodness, these highlighters, they look white on camera, but they are incredibly punchy. And every time I use one of those highlighters as a topper on the inner lid, I get compliments. They look fantastic. They are such good products. They are amazing products, actually. And I'm doubly impressed because this is a Canadian indie brand. Let's see, just a few of my favorites. So the Aftershock shadows are by far my absolute favorite of anything that Clionadh has. And I am so excited about the multi-chromes coming out. I love all of the metallic and shimmer shadows. They show up beautifully. So Rune, I think this is. Yeah, Rune is one of my favorites. Which one am I going to pick next? I love anything that is lime green in nature. So this one, I think this is Eye of Newt. Yes, Eye of Newt. I just, these colors are just fantastic. And when it comes to color saturation of various colors, they don't disappoint. They are absolutely beautiful colors. And I know I like colors when I can't help but open up a palette and swatch them. I need to put my fingers in these every time I play with them. And yeah, I absolutely love Clionadh eyeshadows. And if it were just for my personal enjoyment and not trying to give folks information on YouTube, I would probably do way more videos on Clionadh. They are just beautiful. And like I said, the multi-chromes they have coming out, given the duochromes I've already used from this brand, I'm super excited. And if anything, Clionadh as a brand is what is making it so hard to be on a no-buy this year. I want more of these, and I just so badly want those multi-chromes. And Clionadh is the only brand ever where I have gone onto their site and calculated if I were to buy everything that I wanted from them, how much would I have to spend? And the amount was over $400, and I was being conservative on what I was selecting. And now with the multi-chromes, well, I know I'm well over 500, but they just have, I can't stop looking at my hand. They just have these beautiful, beautiful color options, and yeah, and I feel so creative when I use their shadows. So the quality is there, the creative inspiration is there, and I also love their story, their approach to customer service, how they package their products for shipping. They are very minimalist in that way, but still keep your product super, super safe. I have nothing but good things to say about that brand. So why did I put them in third place? Because I only have about, what is it, 30 items from them. So it would be like 2 palettes. And I felt like I needed to put in higher ranking brands where I have purchased a lot from the brand and that reinforces that I really like their aesthetic and product and or both. So let's go into those brands. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Ciate, and Ciate, I just talked about the glitter, I was going to say glitter flip. That's their lip products. I just talked about the Glitter Storm palette in another video, and I love the packaging of this palette. It is just 9 shadows, but it is a great assortment of 9 shadows with 3 glitters and a number of mattes. The packaging, the mirror, the layout of the shadows, that they're not too close together, the name on the palette, Pat McGrath, and the way that it comes across is just, it's just so well done. And I'm glad that they kept this packaging for their latest launch. I think it's Jessica Rabbit. I love this. The shadows themselves are fantastic. The packaging is fantastic. Super, super happy. And of course, after I started my no-buy, a bunch of the Ciate London shadows went for half off in the Sephora sale section, and it just killed me. I didn't buy any, but it killed me because I vowed that I would get more from Ciate London. And the palette that started it all, that made me end up buying this one, is the Ciate Morello 2. And this one is cardboard packaging, and I do really like it. It's a mirror, and it has 20 shadows in it. And when I did a brand new focus on Ciate and focused on these, I have to say that when I finished using all the shadows and was ready to give my thoughts on this palette, I didn't want to stop using it. I liked every one of the shadows in this palette, and I don't think that we are necessarily often in that situation when we try, especially 20 shadows, where we try a whole palette and we like every single one of the shadows. That was my experience with this one, and I really wish there would have been a Ciate Morello 3. Maybe that would be coming at some point, because they're all so good. I can't even, okay, pardon me, the only one I did not try, so 19 shadows, not 20. At the time, I was not comfortable with black shadows, black matte shadows, and that has changed. So I'm going to say 20 now, but when I did do my review of the palette, I had only used 19. But of all the 19 that I had used, I liked every single one of them. I also enjoyed their glitter flips. I had some trouble with application of them, but it's because I didn't use them properly. I put on too much, and then when I went to reveal the glitter and had waited too long before doing the pressing my lips and revealing, and so ended up with patches. When I tried it after that attempt on my own, they worked fine. So I have 3, I think, of those glitter flips. So I purchased a couple and then ended up with one more. Yeah, I like the line, and also the Fierce Flicks. The Fierce Flicks liner and the Wonderland mascara were very, very nice. Fierce Flicks is probably my favorite of the two, but those were all solid products as well. And I also liked their liquid lipstick. I have the Sydney limited edition from Ciate, and I think I have 2 more. I really enjoy their lip products, no question there. So everything so far that I've tried from Ciate, I've really enjoyed. So yeah, Ciate is up there as far as a brand that I really enjoy, and I will definitely end up with more of that brand's products over time. Next, I need to talk about a brand that I have. I think it's 14 palettes, and then and that's eyeshadow palettes, and then I have some face palettes as well, blush palette, the shapeshifter, and that kind of thing, and that is Urban Decay. And I just brought out 3 palettes to basically talk about the overall brand. I like the Naked series quite a bit. I did get a vault with the Naked 123 and the Naked Heat. I got the Naked Smoky as well. I do not have the Naked Cherry. I don't care for it, so I will not purchase it. But as far as being true to the name and having a cohesive selection of colors for each one of them, for example, this is the pink edition of Naked in Naked 3, the cool edition in Naked 2, the original kind of across the board Nakeds in the Naked OG, the straight up Naked palette. Heat being oranges. Naked Cherry, like I said, is mostly a color scheme that I just don't need. It's burgundy, pinky, reddish colors. Just not drawn to it because I have a lot of that kind of shadow. Smoky I'm very drawn to because it has quite a range of colors to create a smoky eye. I like the consistent packaging aesthetics. I like the number of shadows in it. I do like the fact that it comes with a brush. Are they somewhat boring maybe to a lot of folks? Sure, including myself, but when I want a specific look, I know a neutral look, I can picture the Naked palette I'm going to go to. I just grab it, go, and it doesn't lie. It doesn't disappoint me or deceive me. It does what I want. And I picked this one out of the whole Naked series because it is the palette I get the most compliments when I do a look with this palette. It's apparently for me for some reason, because I tend to be pull to the yellow-orange undertones, this pink palette I just get the most compliments from. So I thought I would show this one out of the whole Naked series that I have. And then I wanted to show a couple of palettes that drew me in because of the artwork, the approach. Now this one is a controversial one because it's the Jean-Michel Basquiat. It's one of the 3 palettes that came in that collection. And it's the colors inside. The packaging is fantastic, but the colors as well. It's the full meal deal. It's the full package. It's the artwork, the canvas feel of the box, the brush. The brush is fantastic. The shadows. It's so bad that this was limited edition. It even has the means to put it on the wall when you are done using it. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's delightful, in my opinion, to have it in my collection. And then another one that shows more the, I'll say standard aesthetic, but it's standard and not standard because the palettes are always different. And that is the Full Spectrum palette. And it shows that this brand will do colors of all types. And there's always a decent mirror in the palettes. And I just love that. It's almost like the consistent inconsistency. There's only one palette out of all of the Urban Decay palettes that they've ever come out with that I absolutely hate. And I have to admit, I was not a fan of the Vice palettes, but those came out before I even knew about Urban Decay. The only one I really don't like is the Elements palette because it's round. I can't stand it. I did a whole bunch of videos about it. I like how I can hold it in my hand, but I really don't like the aesthetics of it. I don't even want to bring it out for you. But yeah, majority of the packaging that Urban Decay has come out with, I have found unique, standalone pieces in and of themselves. When it makes sense to do a series like the Naked, they do a good job. And I do like pretty much everything they come out with. I did not get the Born to Run palette. I chose the Elements palette because it came on half off. And it was kind of a consolation prize for the Born to Run. But yeah, when the Born to Run ends up half price some way, shape, or form, I will probably have that one as well. And I don't know if you can see from underneath here, but I have a ton of the 24/7 Glide-On pencils. I have 25 singles from Urban Decay. I really do enjoy what the brand has to offer. And I will, no doubt, end up over time purchasing more from that brand. And that is why it is in my top 2. Is the eyeshadow formula my absolute favorite? No, it's not. But when you consider the whole meal deal, the whole approach from the brand, I really, really do like Urban Decay. Now, for my overall favorite brand, I have to say Anastasia Beverly Hills. And it's a really funny thing for me to say because I only have one eyeshadow palette from them. Although I have been ridiculously tempted to purchase other eyeshadow palettes. I was so close to getting Prism. So close. The Riviera palette is a really tough one to resist. The Soft Glam, also close. Modern Renaissance, also close. The Sultry, close as well, mostly because of the difference in packaging. I thought that was really, really cool. But when it comes to the brand, I've really gone for face products more and lip products from the brand compared to, and brow products actually, than for more of the eyeshadows. And I'm not quite 100% sure why that is, but I love the eyeshadow formula. I really, really do. And despite the fact, because some people are going to go, ugh, despite the fact that the first one I ever had was Subculture, I love the powdery mattes from the Anastasia line. So let's take a look at all of those palettes that I have. I mentioned it, so I'm going to go over it right away. And this is the Subculture palette. I love this thing to bits. I really enjoy it. I don't wear it on a day-to-day basis, but when I want a grungy, kind of green, mustardy, rusty look, this is the one that I go for. And every time I do a look, it is quick and it is great. And I've done a number of videos on that. And if I have any cards left, I will show you the one that is 2 looks in under 10 minutes. This palette is easy to use. I have not had a problem yet. Maybe I'm just using it super simply, I don't know, but I love it. I really love it. And if I could only have 10 palettes in my whole collection, this one would definitely be for sure in the top 3 of the palettes that I would keep. Now this next one is a highlighting palette, but very much like the Clionadh highlighters, I consider them more like eyeshadows. And it is the Aurora palette, and that's what they look like. And I really love this palette. If anything, the only thing that has displaced it in my usage of highlighters for the eye is the Clionadh products. But I still very, very much appreciate this palette. I think that the colors for the eye are beautiful. Helia, for example, you can just see how this could easily be, it's not showing up, could easily be considered an eyeshadow. It's just beautiful. And which other one? Spectra. I'll show you Spectra as well. They're beautiful shadows, and on the inner lid they look fantastic. So I really enjoy this highlighter palette. And then a couple of blush palettes that I actually use as blush and as eyeshadow. So they are the Radiant and Gradient palettes. And the Radiant looks like this, very much for my skin tone. And there are no duds. It makes me think a lot actually of the Benefit blushes, but I think a little bit better. And there's one in particular, this one, Terrace, I think it's called Terrace. Yeah, Terrace, that makes me think of the Dallas blush from Benefit. And then the other one, which is the Gradient, and this one is the purple packaging. And there are 4 blushes in here, and this is actually this one, all of them. Why am I picking? I do really enjoy this one. They're all great eyeshadows, so I have no problem using that palette as eyeshadow as well. Though it doesn't even look like there's much usage, but I swear I've used all of these. That's weird. The bottom 2. I can just really tell the bottom 2 are the ones that I use the most, but they're all great products. They must be kind of packed hard in there. And then the contour kit. I enjoy the powders in this kit. I don't use it nearly as often as I should. I enjoy the fact that they are, you're able to pop them out. And I have to say the banana powder is one that I have been meaning to try on my under eye to cancel out the blue. But the contour, the bronzers, the highlighter, I like all of these. If you want a face palette where you don't look like you've gone and done a whole lot, of course you can build it up. But if you want a more natural, even look, this is a very easy to use, professional looking result as a contour palette. I like it, and I also like how sleek it is along with the Aurora. They're not huge palettes, and I really appreciate that. Somehow I feel like the Anastasia top marks is anticlimactic, but they're just, the reason it ended up at the top is every single one of my, and I didn't take out all the stuff I have from Anastasia, but from the lip products to the face products to the eyeshadow palette that I have, I've been really impressed with Anastasia, period. And I am quite sure that if I don't pick up another palette from Anastasia, that I will be picking up some of those singles. I definitely have Love Letter in my sights, and I think Tiger's Eye is another one that I have in my sights. I really like the formula. I appreciate the way they apply on the eye, and I do look forward to exploring more from this brand. It definitely gets top marks from me, And I would be remiss if I didn't mention as well the brow products, which I don't use all the time because I find them super expensive, except for the pomade. Pomade is great, but as far as the pencils, I do find them to be pretty expensive. But I use the clear brow gel, I use the pomade. I do have a couple of those pencils, like I said, but it's almost like a special occasion use product for me. But yeah, I like it all. So great brand. Super excited about them, even if I don't seem to have the most exciting products from it. I hope you found this tag information useful. I wonder if, am I surprising you with some of my suggestions and preferences? Am I not? I would love to hear from you below. If you don't mind leaving me your thoughts, that'd be great. I thank you for your time, as always. I appreciate you watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But for now, take care.